All right, your full moon reading coming up right after this. All right, good afternoon. This is Lucky Links, and this is your full moon reading. Speaking of moons, just so you know, a quick announcement. I am actually doing people's astrology charts right now. People have already started pre-ordering their Tibetan astrology chart. If you're interested in getting your chart done, contact me and I'll tell you the details. It's going to take about 3 weeks at this point. It's going to be backed up, so pre-order early. That said, let's see what the cards say the focus of this reading should be. So I'm going to do 3 for a focus here. Okay, so I got the Hangman, development. Actually, it's a couple there. I see possible. Well, that's the thing. When you're doing general stuff, you're going to see lots of possibilities. So some people want to know how to free up resources. Some people want to know how to open up their spiritual development. Some people want to know just how to get a break. You know, I guess I'm seeing a lot of confusion out there right now. A lot of confusion. I'm seeing people dealing with a lot of confusion, a lot of turmoil, anxiety. So, well, let's just, you know what, let's draw the 5 piles and see what comes up. So we're going to do 5 piles. For those of you who don't know, I normally do 5 piles. And you're going to pick 1 to 5. I think you can well, it's kind of hard to see the piles, so 1 through 5. Pick a number 1 through 5. We'll see what each one says. So I guess I don't have an overall theme for this one. It's just, it looks like people are needing different things. So, all right. So pile number 1. Give me just a second here to focus. You know what? Let's. What would bring the most compassion into your life, or what? Developing compassion. Let's call this one developing compassion. What would bring compassion in your life? How can you apply more compassion? Let's see let's see how that comes. Developing compassion. All right, number 1 has 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Number 2 has 2. Number 3 has 5. Number 4 has 6. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Number 5 has 2, and then 1, and then 3. Okay, let's take a moment. Let's see how this relates to compassion and what comes out of it. All right, what do I got here? Lovers. I got the lovers here. Let me see. Give me a second here. For this cycle, this full moon, start by putting yourself in another person's shoes. And by doing so, that doesn't mean coming at them from your own values or what you think is right from them. Putting yourself in another person's shoes for this cycle means coming at it from their values, appreciating it from their values, regardless of whether or not it matches your view of how the world works. Removing yourself and your emotions from the picture will keep you from being on the will keep you from feeling overburdened from taking the responsibility of their lives and making their decisions for them. This will bring a victory that you have never had before and a feeling of accomplishment that will be very new to you. And what this will do, it will plant the seeds for future relationships and for future harmony in relation to those people that you do this with. Okay? So these are the circumstances you're going to find yourself in during this cycle now here. And this cycle will take us through one of the holidays. So as you move into the holidays, so putting yourself in another person's shoes, taking on their values and coming from a place of their values, not in a way to sort of trap them into, to going against their values, but their values, and then regardless of whether or not it supports your view of how the world should be, removing your emotions from the picture will leave you feeling, what you will discover from this is you will not feel overburdened by having to manage their life and their decisions, because a lot of times what people think compassion is really just pride. I'm going to get them to think my way, and then it's right. And what we're really doing in that case is we're reinforcing our own beliefs and our own pride rather than really coming from a place of compassion. And you will see that this sets the seeds for something in the next cycle, in the next few cycles, that blossoms into something that you did not expect. And it may, in that case, create some healing that you've been looking to create, but it's also going to come back to you. Okay? That's not the reason to do it, but it will. It's going to come back to you. So that's number one, compassion. All right, so that's for number one. For those of you who picked number two, I got two here. Just a second. I got the Hangman, and I got the Knight of Cups. Okay, so this one is this is interesting because it's actually relating to aging. So compassion in a couple of ways here means being sensitive to the fact that someone who is feeling burdened by aging or not feeling as either spry, vital, attractive, or competent as they used to, and the frustrations that they are having from this, approach this from a place of patience and understanding, and see how that develops for you, that attitude develops for you this cycle. In another case too, it also means patience with someone who is on the other side of it. For some others of you, it means having a great deal of patience and understanding with someone who is younger and not as experienced as you, and allowing them the freedom to develop the way that they need to develop without your impatience or your demands being placed on them. And realizing that it's not that they're standing in your way, it's that they are developing into who they are, into what they need, and they need the opportunity to develop the way that you had it. And if you did not have that, not resenting them for the fact that they do have that opportunity, and also recognizing those times when you did have it, and someone did that for you, and you're not acknowledging it, and appreciation for that when that happened for you. So that's a couple of things here now. That's a couple of things. Watch it again to hear it again, because I'm sort of going along with this as a sort of stream as it comes out, okay? So that's what's number two. For number three, compassion, what do I got here? 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. I got the Queen of Wands, Temperance. I got the King of Pentacles, Turtle, which is the Four of Wands, and I've got Ace of Pentacles. All right. Okay, so there's a few that are coming to mind right away. Watching a couple go through something that does not match what you think the couple should be doing. So this is the couple, the young couple, or the couple. This is a couple that you're watching, or a couple outside of yourself. So it could be parents, it could be you're watching your friends or whatever. So watching people in partnership as couples doing things the way that you wouldn't do it. So not involving yourself in that and allowing them to make their own mistakes, forge their own way, because in allowing them to make their own mistakes, you are also allowing them to be able to make their own corrections and become stronger for it, and learn how to develop a real deep bond with each other by making the mistakes and learning how to fix the problems themselves. So not coming in and like saying, well, I'm going to fix this for you, or criticizing them for the way that they're doing it, and you don't even know yet that that will be a mistake just because it's not the way that you did it. Okay? So that's first. So as you watch other couples and the way they go about things that are different from you, keep your mouth and allow them to, and you don't need to judge or because they're doing it differently. Allow them to make their own mistakes or their own victories their way, and allow them to develop in their way. And if it does, if for some reason it does not work, then they can make the discovery themselves, and it comes from them, not from you from the outside. Okay? That's the first one. And the second one, I've got... Okay, so that this is in between partners, husband and wife, or man and man, or woman and woman. Being compassionate or being compassionate to each other. Okay, so this has to do with household resources and things. This garbage that we let get in the way of a relationship. Okay. So there's not enough money, there's not enough resources, there's not enough security, there's not enough assurance, there's not enough this, there's not enough that. You're not cleaning the house. Ask yourself during this time, why did you get together to begin with? And are you really allowing the best you to shine forward in your relationship if you're allowing this other garbage to get in the way of your partnership? So remember during this time who your ally is, and treat them like an ally and be their ally. Okay? That will make a much stronger household for you and renew it with love, rather than allowing stuff that really, if it will be, if when you die it gets scattered to the wind or thrown in the garbage or sold off to someone else, it probably is not something that you should be allowing coming between your relationships. How about that? Is that a good way to say that? And then one more thing. This has to do with it's kind of business partnership thing here too. Okay, if actually, it's not just business partner. If someone does things different from the way that you do them, I guess that's an overall theme with this one. Trying to get in the way of... Yeah, this is about security. And different people have different ideas about security, and they don't have to follow your... They don't have to follow your understanding of security. For example... there are people who out there who are a certain kind of element and a certain kind of person who think that the house has to be cleaned a certain way. Well, I've got all my stuff everywhere, and it has to be constantly cleaned, constantly dusted, constantly perfect, everything in the right place. And if the other person doesn't do that, they get criticized. Okay, so if you're criticizing the other person for not living up to your expectations about how to manage stuff, ask yourself, how do they go about things, and is it really reasonable for you to ask them, and is it something that's really they're capable of, and that it's really part of who they really are? Sometimes we put those expectations on people, and it's unnecessary. I guess the overall in this is, what's more important, people or stuff? Consider that in terms of compassion as you move forward. What's more important, people or stuff? I think that's the overall theme. All right. Okay, so we got number 4 here now. Let's see how many I got for 4. I had a bunch of them for 4. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. Okay, this is actually about showing compassion to yourself, and it means that in order to get back to a place of where you feel more unencumbered, what you should do this cycle is this is about needing to take a break, spending some time alone, and actually asking yourself, what's going on under the surface, and what you're letting run your life and run you around. Are you running around just trying to grab hold of things, amass things? Is the life all about paying bills? Is the life all about buying and consuming? Is the life all about I need to pay this bill, pay that bill. And then there's no chance to get a break. This is really about taking a break to recharge and to get in touch with your deeper spirit. So in order to understand really the compassion piece here, this is about not chasing that which doesn't go with you when you die. And the compassionate piece here is taking the real break to feel unencumbered and asking yourself, is it kind to burden yourself with so many things that in the long run mean nothing? Is it kind to burden yourself with so many things that in the long run mean nothing? And I'm going to say this again. If it rots when you die, then it probably isn't important in the long run. And there's another thing here too, letting yourself be free and unencumbered and off the hook, and not punishing yourself by going over things that other people have done to harm, hurt, or offend you. Because every time we take offense and we hold that deeply, it harms us. It weakens us. So these ones are really the key. It's about feeling unencumbered. It's about taking a break, and literally, if you can do this, do this. There's the meditation, or get into a place where you're free and you actually spend some time alone, asking yourself what's really important, and being kind and compassionate to yourself by taking that break from all of this stuff, which may be shocking. And it may cause a scandal during these holidays. Okay? So I would like to say, if you find yourself in this holiday season running around trying to make sure that you have to buy gifts for everyone, and it's making you miserable and making everyone around you miserable, it's time to say maybe, hey, there needs to be a break here. And in some case, I feel like the compassionate thing might be for you, if you're in this situation during this holiday season, to tell everyone, hey, look, is this really serving us? Is this really doing what we need? So then this would be another interpretation. Is this really doing what we need? And is this really worth it? Because we're holding on to something that's actually driving us crazy, and it's actually taking us away from our spirit, taking us away from our peace of mind, and isolating us from each other, and we're being foolish. So consider that as you're moving through the whole holiday season here. This may be for you guys. So there's a couple of possibilities in number 4 here. And I would really recommend, if you can, it's like break these traditions that people are forcing on you and say, is this really what we believe? I personally, I'm not a Christian, so I don't do anything during these holidays. And I will tell you, years ago, I broke from all these traditions and I sort of went in another direction with it. And I watch people during these holidays, and it's kind of funny to watch how they drive each other crazy, and they drive themselves crazy for stuff that in the long run doesn't really matter. They're, I got to get this thing that, 2 months later the person forgets about. It was so important now, you drove yourself crazy trying to get it, but what's really important, ask yourself. So be kind to yourself and be kind to your spirit by saying what's really valuable to my spirit during this season, and what behaviors would actually bring me closer to this state, and the people in my life to this state where we have peace of mind and not feeling isolated. And for those others of you, it may be a case of you need to find some time to be able to spend some time alone and ask yourself, what is it that I really am valuing? And be compassionate to yourself that way. All right, so last pile. What do I got here? I got the devil. I got 2 here. I got the devil, and I got, be compassionate by not taking things so seriously, and not taking offense, and not letting yourself be cut by other people's actions, examples, and behaviors. So the compassionate thing to do to yourself and others is to watch, because if you're letting yourself get all worked up and your blood pressure go up and your anger and all this and being defensive of what other people are doing this season, stop. Take a breath and recognize whenever you get worked up over what someone else is doing and how they're behaving or whatever, and go on the defensive, you're not being compassionate to yourself or the other person. Also, for others of you, this particular one means being compassion means being sensible about your wishes, acknowledging those wishes that you've made come true, and if you haven't made them come true, saying, hey, well, what can I do to make them come true? And what can I do to that's reasonable, and take reasonable steps and get help where needed. So sometimes the compassionate thing to do is to get assistance when's needed, and the other compassionate thing to do is be gentle with yourself. If you haven't yet achieved that goal, be realistic. So don't put expectations on yourself that are unrealistic. Another thing, during this next season, be careful about overindulgence. The compassionate thing to do is not to drug yourself into a stupor by overindulging in everything that you need to do. And if you find yourself overindulging, the compassionate thing to do is ask yourself, why am I doing this? What is the void that I'm trying to fill? And if I do not understand what that void is I'm trying to fill, I need to start asking some questions and being very gentle with myself and kind with myself as I ask those questions. And then the last possibility for this one, we got 3 here. The death of a relationship. You need to give yourself time to heal, as much time as you need to heal for this. So there's an ending of a relationship, and for some of you, I'm sorry to say, and my heartfelt, there's actually people who have actually gone through deaths recently, breakups, and there will be deaths and breakups over the season. And remember, this is a really important thing to remember. Every single day, in your neighborhood, just in the area where you live, in your state, all around you, there are hundreds, if not thousands, of people and animals and beings that die every single day. Look at the fact that you are still alive. That's one thing. Secondly, so that's a good thing to remember for all of us during this season. The fact that we're here, today, or we wake up in the morning, we've got another chance to go at it. That's something to be grateful for. That's first. Secondly, there will be people who already have and will be going through deaths, breakups, ends of relationships, broken hearts. Compassion means giving yourself the time to take that you need to be able to manage it, deal with it, and without other people telling you this is how fast you're supposed to have it. Also, those that you see who are going through this, it's not really for us to say, hey, you should be over it by now. People deal with things the way they deal with them. And if you find yourself using it as an excuse, though, then the compassionate thing to do is kick yourself in the butt and say, hey, you know what? It's been a year, and since this breakup, and I've been milking it. I've been milking it for attention. I've been milking it for people's sympathy. So keep all of those things in mind. And the compassionate thing to do when you find yourself milking it is going, all right, it's time for me to, it's time for me to move on. It's time for me to start, kicking life in the butt again. But for those of you who are going through this, you take the time that you need, and remember that sometimes sometimes we're not as we don't have as much as we need to have. And if this happens to you during this holiday season, it's okay to be gentle with yourself and go, hey, do I really want to get caught up in all this craziness with everyone, or is it okay that I take a break? So there's a lot of feeling in all of these, that there needs to be a permission that you know what, you don't have to have the marketers and the corporations and the business people demand that you jump and do what they say. You don't have to have the churches running you around. If it really isn't about your spirit, if it's all about buying stuff, if it's all about sitting around a table with people being tense and like, oh my God, angry, if it's all about wrecking your calm, then one thing, figure out how you can remain calm in those situations anyway so that it doesn't bother you. But secondly, if you're letting people drive you around with guilt, shame, and obligation this season, I would say the compassionate thing to do is to say, hey, you know what? I don't have to do that to myself, and I certainly shouldn't be doing that to other people. I'm Lucky Links, as always, wishing you success and good fortune in all that you do. This is your full moon reading. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you guys would like to get a reading from me, 779-302-8009 or conjurehope@gmail.com. And if you would like to get a chart done for me, like I said, it's about 3 weeks now away because I'm taking pre-orders right now. If you want to get a chart, contact me. I'll tell you how to get a Tibetan astrology chart. I will also do Kilcore work for you. That's where I actually draw a map of your life, and I use bond processes to start to shift things in your life to make stuff happen. And those processes start to actually make things happen in your life. If you want to take a class, I've got a tarot class. I've got a basic tarot class. This, by the way, is the Affirmators Tarot. I love this deck. I got a basic class and I got an advanced class. If you want to take Lenormand, I've got basic Lenormand, and I've got an Grand Tableau Lenormand. I've got one on how to read playing cards. I've got one on how to read Mexican Loteria, and I've got one on how to read the crystal ball. If you want to take any of these classes during this holiday season, I would love to have you in the class. That's fantastic. It's a wonderful way to handle the holidays, and the stress of the holidays is to be able to use the cards to ask questions about what's really going on. Hey, for those of you who've donated, thank you so much for donating. I really appreciate it. And if you like these videos and you want to donate to help keep them coming, well, I will put my PayPal, my Venmo in the thing below, and then you can do so. Have a great next cycle. Enjoy yourself, and remember, compassion is the key this time around.